Hello everyone, this is a develop module and I wanted to go through your before and afters because I think some of them are really interesting and really talks a lot about choices that we make and how we work on photographs. And so we're starting with Connor and his image from Florence, wonderful Florence. And Connor, I know, likes things really dramatically, and I think and it's interesting for me because I think in some ways the lower half of this works quite well and could be passable. I'm finding the upper half perhaps a little too harsh as we go back and forth. I like the way the world kind of moves, but I would be tempted to try for a more realistic sky and keep the drama in the lower. But he used a lot of the tools of Lightroom and did a really good job on this. Thanks, Connor. Here we have Diana's picture, and here's her before and after. And I think you can really see the how this particular image is so appropriate in black and white and really creates an interesting effect by going there. While both of them are quite nice, I think the black and white is great. Here is Kirsten's, and we can see the choices she made. This is an interesting problem, and working with a JPEG I wouldn't have a lot of options because the problem we have is that we've already lost a lot of data, and so this would be when I definitely would want to start with the raw file. And even if I pull this in, you can see that I'm not going to bring a lot of the highlights in the clouds back. I can go a little bit darker. That those things are kind of lost already. Now it may be possible if Kirsten, if you're working in RAW, that you'll find some of those things will still be in the RAW file. And your choice to go here, well, we see some of it here and that you did pull it out, but going for the really blue effect, I'm kind of assuming this is the after. Let me pause a second and find out for sure. Hold on. Okay, it does look like this was your after. And this is an interesting one. I'm actually, I would be really interested to maybe see this. And you mentioned not going to black and white, but I can't help myself. I also would be interested because now that the land is straight, the pole is still crooked. And I wonder if we go to lens corrections and manual, yeah, we have a lot of, I think this would be, if we wanted to straighten the pole, we would have to actually probably go back to, so we can make it breathe, we'd have to go to Photoshop. I'm going to constrain that. Yeah, it would be, it's too bent by whatever lens happened to be on it. And so if we look at these three as an possibilities, and the choice that she made to go really blue. Here we have Eric's picture and his before and after, really going for a golden look, for kind of dramatic, going for the drama on that, and also a little bit different composition, which I think does help. The rule of thirds really works a lot more on this. If we look at this in the rule of thirds, you can see how he's really created a little bit better composition just by that change that he made in cropping. Okay, and here are, interesting, this is Ethan's, and I think this got in here for some other reason. It was actually from another assignment, but I did do some cropping on it if you missed it in his video from the other assignment. I really felt like we could improve this picture by doing a little bit of a crop on it. So this was the one crop, another crop, and this, let's see, this was probably the original. There's the original. And then I tried a few different crops, and I thought this was actually my favorite. There was so much tension with the sky. So a little bonus one for Ethan there. This is Christian's, and thank you, Christian, for your assignment. Let's see, before. Should probably be the other order, but so this one on the left is the after. And you can see how the very subtle changes. We got rid of the pole, which does make a difference, I think quite a difference, and the richness of the color. Here's a before and after by Susan. I think with your clarity, your changing the color of the sky, that color balance really made a difference. A little bit of in vibrance, and it looks like clarity happening. I could see doing some more to open up the Taj Mahal itself. That it might be nice to just give it a little kiss with the adjustment brush and pop it either with a little bit of lightning or with a little bit of clarity. But overall, I'm very happy with how you reinterpreted this image. Here's Ada Jones's before and after, and I think we see a lot of difference in this, a real improvement. And as we look at the change, the drama that really comes out of that is quite powerful. I think you realize the color's a little better. I think that the sky really is a big improvement on this one. Here's another one this is from Lynn, choosing to do black and white for the after and color for the before was color. I would be tempted on this one, it's interesting. I probably would be a Photoshop job, but I would be tempted to get rid of this little piece of building. I don't think it's really helping, but if you just cropped it, you'd lose some of your dynamic. And so that would be a Photoshop job to replace it with cloud. I like the branch coming in. I think it gives us space, and I don't really mind the wire either, but I think this piece of building is pretty distracting. Again, what can you do in Lightroom? What can you do in Photoshop? You probably would have to take that to Photoshop. But a really nice interpretation into the black and white. And here is Nadine's before and after. This is after processing is on the right, before is on the left. So there's kind of a crop, there's a lightening of the faces, there's a dynamic that really happens with the changes that were made. And we can really see that happen. Before is, and this one's a pretty subtle change, but I think pretty important. Before is on the right, after is on the left, and we see that the tree is more vibrant. We're seeing some of the green a little bit better. I'm a little tempted to see what happens if we neutralize that. That's obviously too much, but it does seem pretty. Once you do that, you see how blue it looks, how incredibly cyan actually it looks. Let's try this one. And then a little darkening. I'm thinking, sometimes I'll do this, I'll click on it and I'll see what it does, and then I'll take it and then I'll half it. So, and so instead of, let's go on the history, instead of here, going there. So it's not so far, but when we look at where it was and what we did and how that really brought out, that little bit of color correction brought out the green in the trees so much more. Just a suggestion as we're working on this, to try and realize the colors that are in the image. Here is Camille's, and here is his. We're gonna have to guess. Am I guessing? I think this must be the after because the color is better. You can see the pink is gone. At least, yeah. See, it does say after. Good. So the one on the right is our after this time. A nice effect that we got in these. I really like how the colors just pop once we get the color right. And Marion's a really, really dramatic difference between the before and the after being on the left. I think the colors are much richer, and when we look at this, we really feel the place in so many ways. Another one this is from Kathy. This is the right is unadjusted, the left is adjusted. And again, so much, even just a color difference. You can see that it really makes a difference with the way that it's seen and the way the water feels so deep after that adjustment. The one on the left is before. On the right, I'm going to say is after. Nice, and an interpretation. I think we really went, Mrs. Sunny, so we really went away from the reality. This is a quite satisfying, the one on the left is a quite satisfying rendition, but I think the one on the right has more texture. It's almost HDR. There's a kind of drama to the light that is quite interesting. And this is Mike's. Look and see what he was working on. Hold on, and we're going to pause. I think this is the comparison we really want from a really, really overexposed picture shooting into the sun, from the before on the right, to a real interpretation of the image on the left that has a lot of drama and a lot of power and gives the feeling. I think the monochromaticness of the golden color is really quite nice in this one, Michael. Here is an image from Wesley, and I think original. So the one on the left is the original. The one on the right has 27D haze and 23 green hue. This is a good start on the picture. I'm going to go back. Well, I'll go to where you've already started from and go and make a virtual copy. I'm going to go to the develop with this because I think there's a lot more in this picture that we want to think about. I'm feeling like I want to see a little bit more in the foreground without losing the background, so I'm going to use a graduated filter. And I'm going to lighten up the foreground, open up the shadows a touch, without overdoing the saturation. That was an accident. Not an accident, it was preset that I had to catch the preset. Might do a little bit of that though, that wasn't so bad, and a little bit of clarity down here. And then I'm finding this pretty annoying, so I'm going to get a new graduated filter. Go right there, and again, let's get this back. So it's not so much. I'm thinking that may not be the right tool. So let me show you what it does. So there it is with that on. I'm going to remove it and say I really do want that, but I don't want to get any more, so I'm going to use the adjustment brush. And I'm going to really make sure in this case, since I have a clear edge, my auto mask is on. And I'm going to do 50% density. Go right along here. Let's see. You can sort of see the effect. Let me change the color of my tool to green. See the effect. And I have a little bit of darkening. I'm going to take it down, a little bit less clarity. So it's not as distracting. Okay, so going back, to this. We have opening up here and then darkening here so it doesn't stick out so much. I think it's more of a balance between the sky and the city. Beautiful, beautiful photograph, Leslie. And I really like where you started. I like what you're doing with the sky, and I would just take that foreground so that we really feel like we're invited into the town, or with the greenery and everything. Okay. This is the left-hand side is after, the right-hand side is before for Mayra, and I really like that you straightened it. I'm not quite sure that I like your colors. And let's do a couple things to this one. I'm going to do a virtual copy of this one. And I think one thing we could, just when we look at it, we can see if we do a black and white, what a beautiful structure it is and how nicely you've organized it. We could take it to Photoshop and do more straightening, or if we had the original, I don't know if we go down to lens correction. We've done some straightening. We could straighten it out more if we wanted to, but I'm not sure that it needs it. It kind of has an interesting feeling. If we're not going to go with black and white, if we're going to stay in color, I might be tempted to maybe go back more towards the colors that were in the other photograph, then darken it down and do a little bit of clarity. And so if we look at all the versions, this is before, this is, I actually went closer to the colors of what it originally was. I think your straightening really did help a lot, and some of your darkening around the edges really helps. It's almost an interpretation of the building. And I used the eyedropper on the windows to go for a neutral. So where do you go with something is a bit of a choice, but an interesting composition and good work, Maria. Here's a before and after. Here's the original is I guess the original is on the left. I'm having a little bit of a hard time telling, Raul. Sorry about that. I guess, yeah, there's more openness in the bike, which may be what you were looking for. I think I'm not quite sure what I would do with this picture. I might take the bike in another place and rephotograph it. We definitely have more detail in here. I think if the bike was moved in another place, or maybe lit with a reflector or some lights, you might have a better outcome. But I'll read your details of what you did, but it's pretty subtle. Also be tempted to kind of get rid of, not photograph it if I could by the angle, or take it out inside of Photoshop. Okay. Here is Mark's picture before and after. Before is on the right, after is on the left. Much better color, much better tones. A really big change between them. I hope I'm getting the right one. That's after. That's before. And he also changed the size on that. So I think a real improvement in the tonality and in the eyes particularly. I have a couple of these. Let's see what's going on with that. This is the after. That's the after, which I made a duplicate of. Black and white, and the before. And I'm not seeing as much difference between the before and after in color. Certainly the black and white I can see. And I think I said before I would be tempted in this one to probably darken down this right here, the plant in there, just to bring it down a touch. Maybe increase the clarity. And even in here, I might think about it. On black and white, it's not as disturbing. It's actually interesting how the flower went so dark in this one. So interesting as interpretations. I think the black and white's my favorite in this case. Okay, this is Colleen's, and really big difference. You really pulled out the detail in what is a very badly backlit image while still holding on to some of the qualities of the light in the space. So that's really nice. Okay. Some other things snuck in here, so we're going to keep going. This is Ying's picture, and before and after, unadjusted and adjusted. So the adjusted is on the left. Really comes to life when you really have a great sense of color. Ying, thank you. And these are Terry's. And I think it's interesting that she really made a point of her crop, a real significant crop in this case, and how important it is, and how suddenly we see the dog and the person in relationship to the painting. And then the edge tension up here is really nice, and keeping those windows seems really important in terms of echoing what might have been in the inside of here in the past. Just a really nice improvement of composition and of lighting. Really effective example, Terry. And these are Janet's, before on the left, after, excuse me, before on the right, after on the left. And I think she really made it come to life with a lot of luminosity. And this is Nicole's, before and after, before, after, on the right. Really nice with the sky, nice effect, nice clarity, and good textures that you brought into it. I think it's a little bit of a crop that really worked also. Good job on that. And our last is Ethan with a after on the left, before on the right. Just really making a dreamy effect out of Death Valley. I love the colorations that you've made come to life in a very, very dramatic way. So great job, everybody, on this assignment. I really appreciate your hard work. I think there's so much to be learned by seeing the comparisons, and as we go through and see how each of you have changed your images and really realized the power of Lightroom. Oh, that one really showed better when I did it like that, didn't it? That's funny. Side by side, it was hard to see. Showed the power of Lightroom to affect our pictures and practicing with the different tools. So keep up the good work, and thank you so much.